Greetings. So we have this candidate now on the Democratic side of things, Kamala Harris. She has some name recognition. She was vice president and ran in 2020. Um, so anyway, uh, she's from the establishment. There's no denying that. She's part of the Clinton, Obama, Victoria Nuland, John Brennan, John Podesta, Robbie Mook, uh, David Brock, uh, Janet Yellen, um, that team, the establishment. They're aligned with our intelligence agencies and our domestic police state, DHS, CISA, FBI, um, CIA. They have almost all the legacy media on their side and much of the social media now on their side. Meta, definitely, Facebook, definitely Google, and the big ones on their side. So they're the establishment. That's Kamala Harris. That's what she has on her side already. She's already a part of this Israeli American military police state that believes in censorship and surveillance and drone bombing civilians, paying for research on your opposition, you basing fake news stories on that paid for research, trying to impeach your opposition, trying to jail your opposition, and now we've seen somebody has done an effort to actually kill the opposition. But that aside, what we do see though is this party that's completely captured by the corporate donors and the intelligence state. It's incapable of representing us. That is the system as it is now. We don't have to speculate what will happen if crazy Trump wins, right? The system as it is now is leading us into a hot war with Russia so it can sell weapons continually. It's enabling a genocide in Gaza. Uh, it censorship has happened. Many of you didn't notice, but there were doctors saying reasonable things during the pandemic. And even if you didn't think what they were saying was reasonable, it wasn't so dangerous that they had to be banned. The fact that people agree with that now, go along with that now, it's just okay for there to be censorship happening as much as it does. It's sad that people found out what was happening at Twitter, that the FBI was directing what sites to suppress, what personalities on Twitter to suppress and shadow ban and visibility filter away. It was interacting with them through a server, cloud type thing. It was having meetings with them. It had people on the inside. Elvis Chan was working at Twitter. Yoel Roth. And we found all that out. And we had no problem with that, right? The progressives, the left, the corporate Democrats. I tend to lump them all together, and that's also a mistake. There are people that consider themselves very progressive types they consider themselves very different from the corporate Democrats. And yet they tend to repeat kind of NPR, DNC, CIA generated talking points, unfortunately, a lot of the time, in this great fear of Trump. So this frame, this paradigm that's been set up, that we have to do everything we can to avoid the scary specter of Trump in order to save democracy, that we have now, right? While never speaking a word about the true entities that are subverting our democracy now and have plans to going forward, right? Those would be the real corporate people, the people with money and power, hedge funds, bankers. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's all in the open. The money, follow the money. Look at where things are going, how things happen. Policy. So the left, the progressive left, what it needs to do right now is not be spending its effort to get behind the establishment supported candidate, Kamala Harris. And instead, it needs to say, well, of course, we're going to end up voting for Kamala if we have to against Donald Trump. But she's not our representative. And she doesn't align with any of our agenda. And here's our agenda. Here's our platform. We're really sticking to our platform, regardless of all these personalities that keep coming, Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump, and it's all about opposing Trump and or loving Trump, or it's not about a platform, and that's unfortunate, right? So it needs to be about a unifying platform and a unifying rainbow coalition that says we want to unify along certain agenda items that are going to help all of us. Yeah, along class lines, and which will, of course, intersect a lot with other forms of oppression that indeed are happening, do happen, right? Oppression against people of color in certain parts of the country, the things that are lingering, things that happen. Um, People that are experiencing oppression because of their skin tone or their gender or their preference, what have you. Uh, that still happens, right? But gosh darn it, what I think happens, I think it opens up a nice space for people to talk about these things, to heal these things, when we first address some of our basic needs, such as housing and healthcare and peace, right? We need more peace, less war. Both parties are captured by the surveillance, police, intelligence, war, defense contractor state. We have to admit that. We have a problem. We have a problem. And we need to provide the solution, not them. We can't keep waiting for their solutions. We need our platform, people's platform. Okay? We get together. We agree on 3 things at first, maybe 5, maybe 10. But we say, hey, these 3, we're going to super prioritize. And we all seem to agree, left, right, center people, working class people, all across the country and indeed internationally, agree that this is what must be done to save the environment. Maybe banning fracking. That's would be maybe an agenda item. We're going to move from this vague climate change, just to like say, hey, specifically something we can do: ban fracking, ban glyphosate, ban things that are horrible, specific, local things. Accomplish, check off the list. We did that. Improve the water, improve the soil, stuff like that. The environment could be a point, that people could unite around. Another one could be housing. We're stuck in this weird paradigm now where we let developers and real estate agents and international private equity control our rental housing market and buy it up, during times of crisis, during the pandemic, when you're not looking, whoa, they come in and buy 40% of the rental property. So that's a crisis that's happened. It's a crisis in affordable housing that we're still having. Okay. We have all these homeless people out there, and we can keep blaming it on drugs and keep talking about drugs, and drugs are important. That's a huge problem for a lot of people, housed people as well. A lot of well-to-do, housewives on some pretty heavy drugs. They get them from their doctor. Anyway, that's a bad stereotype, and it's probably a lot more true in the '90s. I've certainly noticed. But anyway, just affordable housing. We check that off the list. In other words, let's say you get a job. Let's say that you are on the streets having a hard time. You have a fentanyl addiction. Okay, you get some help with your fentanyl addiction. There you are. And you get a job. So what? You're not making that much, and your credit sucks. Where are you going to get housing? Still can't get housing. So you're stuck in some tiny home or some shelter thing, which is run by some thug. That sucks. Just there's all kinds of apartments. There's all kinds of empty condos. Do something. Get some will. Open up existing housing to, moderate income people and poor people. Just open it up. Make it happen. Long-term, stable, safe, nice housing. Just imagine the effect that would have on people's minds, how they would be so less apt to emotionally respond to things all the time or fall for faux populist demagogues, well educated, well fed, well taken care of, safely housed people with leisure time don't vote for faux populist demagogues. It just doesn't happen. And the level of political rhetoric is a lot better, and that produces better results. The candidates have a lot higher expectations of their audience, and they feel like they owe something to that audience in a way. They're kind of under control by that audience a little bit, because that audience is the voters. It's the electorate. It's the people. Now they don't give a crap. It's completely donor oriented, and that's the real problem. That's the frame we need to be addressing this from. It's not Trump people versus trans people. It's not NPR coastal really smart people versus racist Neanderthals. That's their frame. That's the frame they created. They're trying to create. It's not naturally evolving. It's not us. We've already evolved beyond that. We're already better than that. We already could be producing better results and talking about things like actual housing, and then things like the public option in healthcare, affordable healthcare. Obamacare sucks. The left, the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, progressive Democrats, they all were slow to admit that. They're all like, oh, but Jeff, before people didn't have it and people could be excluded and blah, blah. Okay, that's true. The system before was not great. A lot of people had employer-bought healthcare, though, that was better. Their premiums were lower. Let's be honest, right? My premium tripled under Obamacare. It just kind of, oh, what? Whoa. And it was, oh, well, Jeff, you have to pay into the system for, I guess, everyone else who can't pay. We're kind of this egalitarian. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so the system's going to suddenly be awesome and open to people that need it. It's just going to, if someone goes down there and they need an MRI, they're just going to get that. And the system's going to take care of people because I'm paying such a high premium now. That was never the case. That didn't happen. Come on. So Obamacare sucked. And we needed the public option in healthcare, at least. I'm more for the public option in healthcare than I am for Medicare for all, because we've seen Medicare can be subverted, centralized, can be bummered out. The public option, however, says here the government says we can provide this level of healthcare for the basic human here in America. Just here it is. And if you want more than that, or you want something different, guess what? That's all still there. The whole HMO driven, private equity driven healthcare. Of course, that private equity healthcare knows that it would kind of start to shrink away if there really was a robust public option. And that's fine. That's what we want. We want public, we want private equity, profit driven, extractive model healthcare to be done away with over time. We want it to be replaced. It could be capitalism, can be private, can be public, private, blah, blah. It just has to be better. It has to produce better results. It has to require less from you as a kind of monthly outcome, expenditure kind of thing, and less from you when you need things. And it has to provide better continual care and actually access to a doctor that knows you. Personal relationship to a doctor, less Zoom, less, constantly re-explaining yourself to a different care nurse or whatever. If you just have a doctor, so let's doctors make them available again. If you didn't notice, the plan of HMO driven healthcare during the pandemic was to sort of normalize the idea that you're not actually going to see a doctor personally. Maybe you're maybe not going to maybe have a doctor, a quote unquote, like primary care doctor. That was kind of a cornerstone of the model before and of your healthcare plan. Now maybe it's just going to be you're just going to interact with the system. You're just going to pay money to the system. The system's going to tell you when to come get the latest vaccine. Boom, they could just come back. Boom, they hyper inject you with things, and that's that. They collect for that, and then they every now and then they give you a little routine of diagnostics. Anyway, it sucks. Healthcare needs to be improved. This video is getting too long. I'm rambling. But that would be the focus. How about that? Those are two prongs right there. Healthcare, improve public option in healthcare, affordable housing. And there has to be the end result has to be that if you're a person, you get a job, you have a job, and you have $1,000 to spend on rent. Boom, you can get a place. Just that's it. Because there's so much open housing stock right now. If we're honest, and that's what we really need. That's where the economy's at. That's what's happening. So to acknowledge that, take care of people, allow them to have some income for other things, like healthy food, let them pay less for rent to locals, maybe diversified ownership in the rental market. All right, so let me somehow wrap this up. We need definitely better media coverage, a new focus, a new frame to get us out of this Trump versus Democrats. It's not working for us. There's an elite class, a military industrial complex that is in control, and we're not dealing with it at all. We're not talking about it at all. So overall, we need to do that, and how we could do that is by focusing on our own platform and sticking to that platform, no matter what personality things happen, what kind of crazy things they throw at us, the specter of war, the specter of aliens, the specter of balloons, the specter of Trump, specter, 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 just fear, 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 crisis, crisis. You're never on a stable footing, right? We need to get on a stable footing and say, this is what we need. These things were going to help us going forward, no matter what. Rights about AI. You talked about that. There's so many things, but get with me. Think about this, okay? Get some independent thought and quit being so duped by the whole partisan Trump thing we're in right now. It's not the real frame we should be in.